Hey guys, it's Pablo here. I'm with my friend Kevin. Wanted to introduce
Hey,
yourself.
how's it going, guys?
So Kevin's been coming to the car show. Funny story with this is we're sitting in Project Freedom, which is his baby. When he announced this car, I even told Tyler I was obsessed with this thing. I drive a 5.0 myself, and this was like the dream of like if I could build anything I wanted. And he did a release video. It got a ton of views. So
Over 300,000 views on YouTube right now. So.
Which is an insane amount. Especially, there's so much Mustang content out there.
Yeah.
So to stand out from that, it's pretty cool. But yeah, so I'm very excited to be in here today. And to start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about the car?
Car is a 2021 Ford Mustang GT California Special. The intent was to build a California Special that Carroll Shelby would be proud of, but turn it up to 11, maybe even 12.
You've definitely done that.
And yeah, so, you know, my whole intent was to have class style perfection. You know, luxury meets all out performance, where you could take this car, drive it to North Carolina, and have no problem with it. And it's really enjoyable to drive. It doesn't beat the crap out of you. It's really comfortable. The premise of this car was I want to be able to track it on autocross, road course, any day I wanted to, but, you know, take my beautiful wife out to a great date night and you know, go to events, go to car events, you know, have it in partner and sponsorship booths, stuff like that. Promote my capabilities as an automotive, self-taught automotive designer, engineer, and enthusiast as well, because it's my life's passion. There's so much that about this car. It took a year to design alone, and it took 6 iterations of design to get what we're sitting in right now. A lot of time, thought, and money went into this car, and it was a labor of love. So,
And to give you credit, so I think a lot of the people that take on projects and put the amount of hours you put into this, they're building something that maybe was crashed or they're going from the ground up.
Right.
For you to have put that amount of hours into a car that was brand new shows the level of detail you went into.
Yeah.
And it really shows when you come to Cars and Coffee, like to Lux, we have a ton of supercars, like one-offs and everything there, and you get a lot of people walking up to this.
Yeah,
and wanting
you know,
to
that's
talk
great.
about the
You know, I have all respect for all makes and models, and everybody's got. That's a great thing about the automotive community and enthusiasts, is that there's something for everybody. If I had the means and ability to be able to afford a GTD, Mustang GTD, this would be gone. But but for what this is, it's great. There's nothing like it, because this car redlines at 8,000 RPM, makes 475 foot-pounds of torque, and makes 540 at the tire.
You put a lot of time into this. Part of that was the parts and everything that you co-designed with certain companies.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point, or like what was the vision? How'd you end up doing that?
Well, I think a lot of it is that I was kind of tired of, like, you know, just there are so many great companies, especially in the suspension and vehicle dynamics in the aftermarket, and I know a lot of them. They're phenomenal engineers. They're phenomenal. They really understand that, and one of those things, it was just the ability to, I wanted something different. I didn't want someone just to off-the-shelf coilovers. I didn't want just, you know, to grab what everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
And ready?
I'm excited for this. That feels so different, which I would not expect for one that's also NA.
Right, it has to do with all the suspension. That's what it has to do with. It's so linear, and because it hooks so well,
yeah.
you don't feel any wheel hop.
Yeah.
You don't feel any spin.
I am extremely impressed. On mine, when I step on it, like on an on-ramp or something, you'll feel a little bit of wheel hop, and it'll also come out to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
This did nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was plain. It just sit. It kind of like felt like it tucked.
It just sits and goes. One of my good friends and who was a significant help in this build.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 40 hours in ride height alone and settings alone, and there's You know, like there's 1,200 hours just in suspension alone and
That's
chassis
incredible.
alone on this.
I think one of the things, obviously you don't get to this level of build on your first one. So you've been through multiple cars. The passion's had to be there for a long time to get to this point.
Absolutely, yeah.
What kind of ignited your passion for cars, and how early did that start?
You know, I think it started when I was a very little boy. It's been in my family for like a century. But, you know, I'll be frank, I mean, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. It was one of those things I just fell in love with, and there was a meaning for cars that I felt like they could always be my friend. I was the kid that was reading Road and Track, Motor Trend magazine. My mom would always buy me that, and just it was a family love affair. We'd go to Cars and Coffee, you know, just go and car events and stuff like that. And I just always found a passion. I found such an interest in doing so, and it, you know, it honestly, as much as having fast cars and doing all that can get you in trouble, it was the one thing that I know that kept me out of trouble. Because it was, you know, it was the one thing that I could really focus on and have a really big passion for, and it just grabbed me as like a 5-year-old. And my first ride in any Mustang in particular was, you know, 0304 Terminator. And
that is an insane first ride.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like what you were talking about, the passion right now, and it being your friend. For me, it's always been like the escape. Like since I got my license, it's like if I ever need to think a big decision over or anything like that, I go on a drive, and that's like the time that you get to yourself. But it really feels like it's not just you; it's you in the car, and it gets you into this other mindset.
There's a relationship, and one of the things is I love what Jeremy Clarkson always said is that random people think it's a commodity, just A to B, a ton and a half of plastic, metal, materials, but us car people think that they're living beings, they're living entities. And you know why that is? It's because it came from a human soul and mind to build something. It is an expression of who somebody is. This car is a full expression of my taste, my design, is clean, simple, and performance. That's why it took as long as it did. You know, I think going back to just the passion, I think it's just something that it's just ingrained in my soul. And I always have this quote that I always say. It's, freedom is found on roads less traveled, and the ones that are willing to take the risks that are the most harmful to you, but if you go through it, you might find the best outcome. And that was this car, because never in my wildest years I'd have all the press, all of the things that happened with this car, and to debut it in the Royal Purple at SEMA and have it one of the most premier unveilings at SEMA in 2022. To have all the incredible partners that came on board because they believed in me, they believed in the vision, and a lot of what the reason behind that is because it was organic, it was real, and the fact is it wasn't just somebody who was asking for a handout. It was legitimate deals that was going to benefit both parties and put myself on the map as an individual in the automotive community, and be able to do all of that. And it was fantastic. And I would go through all that sacrifice again of working 3 jobs, doing all that stuff, and being able to do all that, again. So
I love that. So one of the things that you just touched on a little bit, but that I want to get more into is, like you were talking about the suspension, how much work went into it and stuff. This car has a lot of partnerships between your company, which would be like your engineering and design background. What partnerships or maybe opportunities came out of this project or the car community in general that you didn't expect? So like, what's one key one that...
I think one of the biggest ones was with AD Performance. Graham over at AD Performance, he's the engineering director. I met them at SEMA in 2021, and we were able to do a lot of things that I never really thought were possible. And then, calls me up one day and said, well, we're going to design the first billet spherical ball joint upper and lower control arms for an S550 Mustang. I'm like, what? Excuse me? I said, well, let's work together on this. Let's do this. So put our heads together. He put his engineering mind together. So we were able to get control arms up and rear that are made of T6060 billet aluminum with spherical ball joints and heim joints, and they're all the adjustment and camber and everything is done with shims, and there's nothing like that on the market. And to add it on top, the namesake of the car is etched on there with the American flag that's anodized in it.
Yeah. And
that was one big one because they were just awesome. I think the two biggest things was JP Hayden, you know, who was at Royal Purple, and all those people that, you know, they gave me an opportunity and they saw something in me that, you know, was it's indescribable. I don't really have a lot of words for it.
No, I mean, I love that.
It's you know, I could thank everybody from Deesh Works to Cerakote to Belgian Wheels, Scott Gibson at Belgian Wheels, to Market Willwood Brakes, to everybody. You know, I have so many people to thank, and, you know, so many connections and even friendships that I've made, and you know, shout out to Brandon Washness at Washness Media. Brandon, he made this car literally come to life in cinematic form.
He's like the reason I knew of the project. Yeah, just watching that video.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a grown man, but I'm man enough to admit when I saw the full-length launch video feature, I cried.
Yeah.
Because if you really have a passion for something, it's not about the money, it's not about the prestige, it's not about the recognition. It's for me, I believe it's doing it for yourself.
Yeah, and it was all your hard work coming to fruition of just like, this is finally it. So apart from the project, you also work in the automotive industry. I think a lot of people are going to be curious. I mean, you're pretty young, how you end up having a project of this size at your age. So what do you do for a living, and what is that?
So just before I tell you what I do for a living, you know, I have that old school mindset that if you want some stuff, you'll do whatever it humanly takes to go find out and get it, whether it's working 2-3 jobs. Whatever it is that you want it, you will do it. And that's how this car came to be. It was long nights. It was sacrifices. It was not only me that I had to, you know, things I had to sacrifice. It was family members that had to help me and sacrifice. It was, you know, at the 10th, 11th hour, you know, people helping me. So in doing so, you know, it happened. And then, you know, a lot of that was the support of my soon-to-be wife, and you know, she was there when this car was unveiled, and it's one of my favorite memories of her and I. And so what I do for a living is I'm an automotive marketing professional. I currently work as the e-commerce and digital marketing manager for all of Earnhardt Auto Centers at a corporate level. So that's what I do 5 days a week. And then I work on doing a lot of automotive design, engineering. If I have a client, you know, that someone comes to me, they want to fully design, you know, let's just say they want to design a 69 Camaro from the ground up, we'll have a little conference call and everything together that will go through everything: color palette, performance, what you're going to use it for, every nut and bolt, and everything down to last. And then we're going to go through several different iterations of design back and forth, things like that. And then you know, I do a lot of rendering design business and stuff like that. And then if someone wants to commission a build, then they can do so. And you know, unfortunately, one of the things I've had to do in the last couple of years, and just things that happen, I've had to kind of take a step back in my business just because of life. But it's something I'm working back to, because one thing I tell even young people and aspiring boys or girls, you know, that want to get into this industry, is that it's tough. It's always not nice to you. It can be really mean and nasty. I had my fair share of that. But if you stick with it, and if you continue to use your passion, anything's possible. Yeah. It's all about your attitude, and it's all about your mindset.
I'm very excited to see what you do in the future with that side of things,
Yeah.
with your design side and everything like that.
I've got a bunch of things in the works that I've just kind of had to put on pause, but life priorities, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll come with time, and you've already proven that you're capable, and you have those contacts for when you do decide to pick that up more in depth. So on that, there's a lot of people that are young, and this is what their interest is cars, and maybe they're also into engineering or design. What's another piece of advice? I know you just gave that one that you would give to them on pursuing that.
I don't have an engineering degree. I never went to school for engineering. It's not about who can teach you it, it's about how you can teach yourself.
Okay.
If you can apply yourself and put your mind to anything, anything is possible. I was never the greatest math student, and to become a certified engineer, you have to go through so much math and so much this. Well, if I was always phenomenal at geometry and dynamics and all of that.
Yeah.
And read, researched, applied myself, tried it, just keep trying things. The only thing that's stopping yourself when someone tells you no is yourself. Don't let anyone tell you that no, you can't do this or no, you can't do that, because if you don't have the money, the means, or the environment to do so, you have to go out and do that. Nothing is going to be handed you. You have to be able to tell yourself that I'm going to do this for me and only me, and that's what you got to do. And you got to embrace the suck. And that's what I would tell somebody that's wanting to get into all this. But you know,
I think you said it beautifully. It perfectly aligns with what you just mentioned earlier about if you really want something, you're going to work. You had to work 3 jobs to finish this project.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'd go work my corporate job, then I'd go work at Lowe's or Home Depot, and then I'd go work at I'd find something online that I can do, whether it's another form of marketing, another form of this. I'd be working 16-hour days, and I'm like, well, I'm about to just fall out of my chair.
That's
but
amazing.
You know what? There's nothing more sweeter than proving all your critics wrong, and you didn't say anything to them.
They see your progress, and then it's mouth shut now.
Because one of the biggest things that I'm proud of this car, and from the recognition, I'll never forget when I was in the Royal Purple booth at SEMA in Central Hall. I had 2 gentlemen from Hot Rod Magazine and Motor Trend come up, and he said, "We want to do a featured piece on this."
That's incredible.
And I'm telling you, it was almost an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, it's something you've been looking at since a kid, I'm sure. And then all of a sudden they're walking up to you.
And then all of a sudden, it's still online. And you know, I've been one of the biggest things I'm so proud of. This also went to the Keystone Automotive Big Show in Denver, Colorado, with Royal Purple, and in the beginning of 2023. And one of the things that I think that it's so awesome is my great uncle happens to be family friends with the Ring family, and that means the Ring brothers.
Yeah.
Because it just so happens that the Ring brothers' sister lives across the street from my great aunt and uncle in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So Jim and Mike Ring, I connected up with them at SEMA. They're of course insanely busy as always, because they design and engineer and build some of the most immaculate builds I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And they're on a whole nother planet. But for them at the Keystone Automotive Big Show in February of 2023, to come have on their own time, to look at the build, to go through everything, and for them to say, I wouldn't have changed a darn thing on this, and give me the stamp of approval. They both sat in this car. They took a picture. I have a picture with them, and
it proved that you were where you needed to be.
It was a very humbling moment. Yeah. I'm telling you, to get that kind of recognition from, guys who are building $1 million one-off builds.
Yep.
It's not a cheap build by any means, but it's it's really remarkable. And you know, anytime I think about it or I'm having a rough day, I just think about, I love this car very, very much. I do have a few future plans in the future for it, but I've also thought about selling it for other ventures. And you know, I mean, if somebody came along with the right buyer and the right offer, we'll see what happens. But for now, she's going to stay in the stable because that's where she belongs. It's in my family, and yeah.
Bo, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about Project Freedom and what you do, and for supporting the car show. Honestly,
Yeah,
it means a
absolutely.
lot.
I love coming out. You know, when you guys started the car show, I've been to so many. God, I've been to the cream of the crop. I've done it all. But locally, it's one of the most fun, organic. Everyone's nice, you know.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. But
Yeah.
thank you for everything,
Thank
Kevin.
you, man. No problem.
Appreciate it.